if I run into someone at the gym, on the street, someone with a Liverpool sticker on their car, I'm like honking at them. I'm like, hey, we have a supporters club. Here's the link. Like, come watch games with us.
Welcome to Kansas City and another episode of My Mom Calls It Soccer. I'm Michelle, and I'm a Liverpool fan.
I'm Chase. I call it football, and I'm a Barca fan.
And I'm Grandma, and I'm a Real Madrid fan.
And today we are at Chicken and Pickle in Kansas City, in North Kansas City, correct?
That's correct.
We are here with the official Liverpool Supporter Club of Kansas City, and we are here with two of their officers. Is that the right way to say it? Board members.
Founding members.
Okay, founding members, Kyle and Phil. Welcome.
Thank you.
So please introduce yourselves fully. I didn't want to mess up your last names.
Yeah, my name is Phil Kilmer. I'm the secretary of OLSC Kansas City.
Hi, I'm Kyle Miles, chairperson of OLSC Kansas City.
And so as we have gotten into this process of trying to help recruit new fans to the game, and with myself as a Liverpool fan, I found you guys on social media, started following you. I'm jealous how you get together with other Liverpool fans every weekend or weekday to watch. And so we wanted to come up and visit and just kind of talk about the club, how you got started going, how other people in Kansas City, if they want to be a part of it, can get involved. So how did you get started?
Sure, yeah. So the official Liverpool supporters group has been going for about 10 years. The genesis of the group, also known as the Kansas City Cop, has been going for about 15 years, I'd say. So I came out, my wife studied abroad in South Africa, brought me back here, so went to grad school at Kansas State, and on weekends I'd come back to Overland Park and we'd meet at a spot called Football Club with a FUT, and that was kind of the genesis. Would meet some other Liverpool fans, and then one of our other founders that I wanted to mention, Matt Holting, unfortunately couldn't be here today. He's ill, but we met at a work event, both wearing Liverpool tops in 2013, hit it off, and then in 2014 we met Phil Kilmer during a preseason game in Chicago. Liverpool were playing Olympiacos at Soldier Field. So that's kind of the 15/10 years of the OLSC condensed in a sentence or two. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. So we're in Chicago. We're going over to a pre-match. So there was a bar across from Soldiers Field, and went in. It was pretty packed. So my wife at the time and I were looking for a place to sit. We see a table had a couple empty chairs. It was like the only table with a couple empty chairs. Came over, started talking, asked if we could sit down. They said sure. Said, well, you know, where are you guys from? Like, we're from Kansas City. I said, well, we're from Kansas City too. Like, we should hang out. We should be friends.
Yeah.
And I had been to an event earlier that day that the OLSC in Chicago puts on, which they have an incredible OLSC that put on some events, brought in Ian Rush to speak and stuff like that. And we're like, we need to do the same thing for Kansas City. I didn't even know that they had the Kansas City Cop at that time, so that was all new to me. So from then on, we kind of started the process to get our own OLSC.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So one of the things, like I have a friend who's coming here today joining us, and she lives in this area, drives by, sees cars here on Saturday or Sunday mornings early, kind of wondered what was going on. So for people who do live in the area and maybe don't know anything about soccer/football, whatever they call it, if they're interested, what should they do? Just show up?
They should show up. Let's say one thing, you could follow us on our Facebook page, OLSC Kansas City, or on our Instagram. There we talk about different specials that we're having going on. But I think that's the big thing with our OLSC is we're all Liverpool fans, but we want it to be an open football experience for a lot of people in the United States that maybe aren't as familiar with football or soccer, and just want to get to know it. Of course, we think Liverpool are a great club to follow for all kinds of historic reasons, and just the nature of the club. We're very proud to be Liverpool supporters, but we all love the beautiful game, and so we just want a welcoming atmosphere to come learn, come join, and have community with others.
Yeah, just to segue off of that, I think the big thing with this group, we're very welcoming. So if you've been in a soccer for 50 years or 5 days, we want you to come and join us. if you're not even sure what team you want to pick, come join us for a game and you'll pick Liverpool after that 90 plus minutes of time. And the other thing is too, even if you are not a Liverpool fan and you just want to come and watch soccer with a good group, we're one of those groups. We are welcoming. Now, if you've got a Real Madrid top on and it's the Champions League final, maybe steer
We
clear.
might razz you a little bit, Carol.
Well, I can take it. I have
But
rough
seriously,
shoulders.
all are welcome. What's great about this venue is big match days, like Spurs game here last year. We had about 250 people
Oh,
across
wow.
the venue. But it's one of those rare places where it's got a vibe, great atmosphere, but you can bring your 5-year-old or a 95-year-old and it's still a good time.
That's awesome. So for each of you, how did you become a Liverpool fan? Has it been a lifelong connection or something more recent? How'd you find them?
No, for me, I think I probably came at quite late. Kyle's going to tell you about his origin. I think he was born into it, but I didn't actually become a Liverpool fan until after they'd won the Champions League in 2005. It was actually 2006, like leading up to that World Cup. I became a Gerrard fan watching that World
Okay.
Cup. I even missed the FA Cup win before that. So like I missed a lot of big games that I think turned a lot of people into Liverpool fans. I just started following Gerrard. I just fell in love with the way he played, his tenacity, his just unbelievable skill. And then from that, just learning more about the club, the heritage, the social values that go along with it. I think it's one of those few clubs that, the city of Liverpool is a city of immigrants, a shipping town, and they just have a very working class value system, very much socialistic value system. And I think that bleeds into how they support the club and how they treat other people and how they've dealt with a lot of serious tragedies throughout.
Yes.
And I think they are a community that is big on community and about staying together. And I think that's very much what Liverpudlians and Scousers are like. And I think I fell in love with that as well. So it's kind of that blending of this football heritage plus this like cultural ideals that I think it's
Just
a
a
really
good fit.
beautiful thing. Yeah.
Yep. Kyle, what about you?
Yeah, so I've got a little bit of an interesting background. My mom was from Scotland, my dad's South African, and my wife's American. So I'm a 3 passports global citizen, which we'll get into when we get to the World Cup.
Yes.
But I started school as a 5-year-old just outside of Glasgow in Scotland. Rangers or Celtic was not an option, and some of my family were Liverpool fans, so very proudly Scottish, but some of them were spiritually Scouse, I'd say. And I got into Liverpool for a young age, and then growing up in Cape Town, South Africa, the English football and football in general has always been massive.
Okay.
So like Cape Town, it's just, back in the 90s, for example, and late 80s, Liverpool, big teams were doing tours out there, mainly after apartheid ended. But I kind of got the bug early. Some of my South African family were also massive fans. The kind of family that they're like Christmas, everything. I was getting Liverpool jerseys for my 21st. They got me a signed Stevie G,
that's
Torres
awesome.
Carragher top. But grew up with it. And then kind of like, I would say similar to Phil actually, though, even though I was born into it in the late 90s when, players like, less so Fowler, but Owen, Stevie G were coming into the team. Like I vividly remember the FA Cup final where I think Owen scored a brace. And then, when Gerrard really took the world by storm and came into the team, that kind of really got me hooked. And yes, I'd say I'd probably been a Liverpool fan now for about 3 decades, which is crazy.
Pretty much your whole life.
Pretty much my whole life.
It's amazing. And I love that, too, in terms of your supporter club, where you have somebody who's been a lifelong fan, somebody who's newer to it. I think that does make you more open, I'm guessing, to new people coming in or different experiences, or someone who's been a Liverpool fan forever but just has been out here watching by themselves and didn't realize maybe there was a place for them to come and connect with others.
Yeah, to segue off that, what I'd say is I think initially my goal here was to find as many Liverpool fans as possible, but the last 10 years, my legacy in life is creating as many Liverpool fans as possible. So if you're into soccer, come on down to Chicken Pickle, we get your first drink, get your Liverpool kit. Like we truly want to be a welcoming place where everyone kind of feels like they can come, just embrace the sport and get into it.
And do you feel, I'd be interested to see what Chase thinks, but that there is, we kind of feel like maybe we're at this tipping point where in the United States it is becoming more and more popular. I've seen some studies out that maybe it's surpassed baseball as the third most popular sport, that this is a great time for us to be out there trying to recruit soccer, football fans in general, but Liverpool fans specifically.
Yeah, I think I don't know, when I grew up playing here, the level of competition and the fields that you played on were quite poor. Now my son plays on all turf fields, the practice facilities they have. It's just a whole different world.
Yes.
I think especially in big cities like Kansas City. So I think there's the money behind it. I think there's the fandom behind it. I think they pushed it really hard. I would say I think one of the things that is difficult and why I like to push people towards Premier League soccer as well, and not to talk trash on the MLS, but there's levels to this.
Sure.
And when you start watching European soccer versus watching the MLS, it's completely different. So I do think I love to go to see a match anytime. I love going out to watching Sporting play. But I think if that gets you hooked or you love that, man, when you watch some high quality European soccer, I think it's just a whole different beast.
Sure.
And if you have the opportunity to actually go across the pond, see a game in that atmosphere,
Do it.
You can't come back and not just be completely blown away.
Yes, 100%. Definitely what hooked me for sure. Chase, I've been hogging the microphone.
Well, as both of you being Liverpool fans, there have been some great moments throughout all of Liverpool's history. What's one moment that lives in your head rent-free all the time?
You go first.
No, you go first, buddy. I need to think about that.
Well, man, there's been a lot of good ones. I would say one that was extra special was when we won the Champions League here in 2019. So at that time, we were at another bar in downtown Kansas City in the Dubliner. We had 500 plus people there. I got to play some like Liverpool songs before. We had a build-up. We had another friend's band that played. And then afterwards, just honestly being with our mates. I mean, being with these people that I actually love, other people that weren't able to be here, but Shane and Matt and John, some of our closest friends. I built some really close relationships through this club. And then my boys were there. So getting that moment, like I remember crying. That was like a super, super powerful time. We all went out and got tattoos afterwards. We got Liverpool tattoos. It was a crazy night. It was a really good time. So that was one for sure. I would say I went over to Paris for the final there, which was super fun. So I went with a couple English lads who were fun, and they are diehard. So one of them, Sparky, grew up in Liverpool. His dad was a lifelong Liverpool fan too. Grew up blocks from Anfield. So to share those moments with them, meeting up with his friends and family over there in Paris, and just partying for 3 days leading up to the match, that was almost as fun as going to the match. Of course, we lost the match, which was tragic, but just the whole trip, doing that traveling atmosphere. Also with Matt, who wasn't able to be here, we went and did an away day at Nottingham Forest. We'd actually had tickets to the Man United game. Man United, the game got moved because of the FA Cup, because we progressed in the FA Cup. So we were already over there, had to scramble to get tickets. Shout out to Clive. Clive helped us, hooked us up with some tickets. So we went to see an away game at Nottingham Forest, which was contentious. So I'd never been in an atmosphere like that too, where it actually felt like dangerous. The fans are all separated. So doing a couple proper away days, I'm like, oh, I need more of this too. Not just the Anfield days, but the away days are fun. Yeah, it's great.
That's a really good question, Chase. And that's why I had Phil go first, so thanks for handling that. I'll give you a couple of answers. I'd say on a foundational core memory note, first game at Anfield as a youngster, I just remember being blown away, because I'd grown up going to a lot of Scottish Premier League games. My family were a lot of Motherwell fans. We'd go to like Ibrox, where Rangers play, Parkhead, or Celtic Park, where Celtic play. Terrific atmospheres in their own right, but I just remember You'll Never Walk Alone, the noise, the color, it hit a little bit differently for me. That from a personal note, I'd say kind of from a group perspective, we've had some incredible days in Kansas City. So since we've been involved with the OLSC, we've had 3 Champions League finals. Unfortunately, lost 2 of those, but won 1. But the atmosphere at all 3 were incredible. 2 of those were at our former location, the Dubliner in P&L in downtown KC. The other one was here. But we've also had amazing League Cup finals, FA Cup finals, where we've had great crowds. And those have all been special. The other thing, and this is a shameless plug, that I think has been incredible is their preseason tours. And I wish they happened more often. There is obviously the upcoming preseason tour where we're going to be playing in Nashville, New York, and then Chicago, respectively. But if you haven't got your tickets yet, highly encourage it. It's not just the game. Matt, Phil, and I, we went to, with a huge group from Kansas City, to the Roma game at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. There were not just OLSCs, Liverpool supporter groups from around the country, and the vibe was incredible. Same, Phil's spoken a little bit about Chicago. We had a couple beers with Bruce Krobler, and had a good time. They have a magic spot. Shout out to the Chicago OLSC, AJ Hudson's, and a couple other spots that are magic.
AJ Hudson's.
And I think that's the special, and that's why I'm mentioning those preseason tours. You meet the players, you have these Legends nights where we've met, Fowler, Garcia, Sammy Herpia, current and former players. And I think that's what makes this club special is, I know some people roll their eyes at the world's largest football family, but it truly does feel like a family. We have such good relationships with OLSCs around the country. I feel like it's a very supportive network. And just be able to be surrounded by, not just expats by myself, but seeing the explosion of growth of the club, and just being surrounded by tens of thousands of Liverpool fans on these preseason games, it just hits a little bit different.
I'd say we've talked about the rivalry between Man United and Liverpool, but as lifelong Liverpool fans, how tense is that rivalry?
I would say you're going to have to probably talk to this guy a lot more, just because I think a lot of it, from my Scouts buddies, is that it ruined a lot of their childhoods. It was ones who grew up in the 90s, and United just being an absolute machine under Ferguson, just beating them all the time. So I think the Liverpool United also has a lot of economic issues, the shipping towns, and there was a lot of economic competition that bled over into the football rivalry as well. But I think that was probably what made it, worse, especially the 90s, just getting beat all the time, and a lot of people's childhood Liverpool fans just getting run down by Manchester United. But I'll let you speak to that. I didn't live through that as much, so I've been taught how to hate, but I don't think I felt the stings of that quite as much. Yeah.
So what I'd say is we'll have to get a proper Scouser when we'll hopefully do some fan interviews later, because I didn't grow up in Liverpool, right? So I think it hits very different where, when it comes to the Merseyside derby or the United Liverpool game, I didn't live it daily. What I would say is, growing up in Cape Town, honestly, most of my mates were United fans. So I got a lot of stick. Liverpool weren't great for a large part of the 90s, unfortunately, which were my formative years. So that was interesting. One thing I will say, though, is it's as passionate and tense as that rivalry is. It's a brilliant rivalry because, for example, growing up outside Glasgow as a youngster, Rangers, Celtic, Old Firm, now called the Glasgow Derby by some folks, that's a little different for many reasons. So as brutal as that United-Liverpool game can be, when we've been on the receiving end, some of my best mates are United fans. I have no problem saying that because they're passionate about their club. And even though I may not agree with some of their life choices, that being the biggest one, I respect that they really love their club. But it is, I've never been at Old Trafford on an away day. That's a big dream of mine with Liverpool. But I've been to that game at Anfield, and it just hits a little bit different. I know there's nights like Barcelona and Chelsea in the Champions League that may have been potentially louder, but that's a brilliant game. So hits a little bit different. but it's a different rivalry, I think, where I grew up and here in the States compared to if you'd have grown up in Liverpool. So we'll hopefully get a couple Scousers to share their thoughts on that one.
Grandma, did you have any questions over there?
Well, yes, but it's a bit of a change. I'm always interested when we talk to really avid fans. Did you play?
I did not well.
Not well.
Yeah, I mean, I played growing up since I was very young. I would never say I was that was my favorite sport to play, or that was not my most talented sport. I was a baseball player. Like, I was a very good baseball player. I always played soccer, but not my best sport. But always been my favorite sport to watch. Yeah, ever since I was a child. So. This guy's better.
I don't know about better. So I grew up playing, started as a 5-year-old in Scotland, and then, like I said, school in South Africa. I wanted to get to school early because we'd play in our school uniforms, like gray slacks, white shirt, took the school blazers off, played at lunchtime, played after school. So played for the school, played for a local club. Similar to Phil, though, it was the sport I was most passionate about, but probably not the one I was best at. I grew up playing cricket, field hockey, rugby, and there were some incredibly talented football, soccer players in Cape Town in that time. I mean, guys that unfortunately played for some other clubs, but like Quinton Fortune, Lucas Radebe, Benny McCarthy, from South Africa in general, but Cape Town specifically, it's kind of our soccer hotbed. So I was decent, but certainly wasn't going to crack any professional lineups or academies. So, I loved the sport, grew up playing, and yeah.
Very good. Do you have anything else?
No, that's it.
I want to ask you both how I'm new to this. So I came in last year, unintentional. I wasn't like, hey, I'm going to become a fan because they're at the top of the table and they're going to win the Premier League. It just happened that way.
Sure, Michelle.
I know. so I'm still new to this. I'm still, figuring all of it out. But I'd love to know how both of you feel about Arne Slot. How do you feel? Chase asks me a lot, what I think. And I just, my response is always, I don't feel like I know enough to have an opinion. But, how do you feel about him in his second year and how this year has gone compared to last?
I think it's difficult to say for a couple reasons, because I think we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So I think that's always the difficult thing is there's a lot of, rumors get out or things saying about. So I think one part of being a manager, well, I know he's a coach, but he's a manager, is managing personalities, managing the dressing room. So, there's some things come out that say he's a great manager. Other things like maybe he's lost the dressing room a little bit. Without knowing that, I think it's difficult to make a decision on that part.
Sure.
I think a lot says he should have been doing better with the talent that we do have, which I agree with. I would say he's been left short a little bit by the hierarchy you look at our bench, we do not have a deep bench. Look at anybody else in the top maybe 7 in the Premier League. Our number one person coming off the bench is a 17-year-old. So while we did some great business in the summer, and there were some big moves that we made, like we let Luis Diaz go. I think that time everyone thought that was a reasonable thing. I remember us talking about, if you have someone who's 29, as good as Lucho was, and as much as I loved him, 29, and he wants to leave, and you're going to get $70 million for him.
Sure,
that's good business. That's what you have to do. I think we were very ambitious in the transfer market, but I think you can't replace Trent Alexander-Arnold and what he was able to do. So even though we have, Bradley, who has done well, but he can't stay fit, very difficult. Frimpong, different skill set, not a bigger guy. Not that Trent was the greatest defender at all. He's more of a winger, though. He's more of a wing back, so he's not really fitting that mold. So I think they were trying to think, we're losing Trent Alexander-Arnold and his creativity at the back. We're going to try to replace that with creativity higher up the pitch with Wirtz. Like, that's going to be our new playmaker. We have to make a shift. Trent's gone. Wirtz is going to be our new playmaker. I don't think that's a bad decision necessarily, but it's different. So then we've had injuries at the back the whole time. That's been shaky. That's a lot of change. And then we have our left back has been a lot of change too. Yes, we brought in Kirkez. He had a really shaky start. He's shown signs of being much improved. That kind of goes back to the slot factor where I think a lot of times I've wanted maybe Robbo to get some more game time. I think he's been a very good professional mentoring Kirkez overall, and being very professional. He's interviewed about it. He surely wants to play more. So again, we don't know what that man management is behind the scenes, how happy each of them are, what the overall game plan is. Kanate has kind of let him down at the back too. So we've got all this change. Some of the players just haven't played well. McAllister's had a really, really, really rough year.
Yes.
Gravenberg has been sometimes brilliant, sometimes not so much. Soboslai has been our only consistent player. Mo and his productivity has dropped off the map, but we lost Trent behind him, who was creating most of the things for him. So we've shifted so many things about how we attack, who are the main players that we're trying to play through, where we're getting our creativity, and then we've had a lot of difficulty at the back, and so we can't build well from the back. If you see us, how bad we struggle to play out of the back sometimes, it drives me absolutely wild. So I don't know if that's because they're not coached well or because there's individual bad performances. I would say oftentimes, and it's even in the last 3 matches that we watched, I can't say I can see what game plan we have, which is concerning. So like Galatasaray away, what was our game plan there? Like I don't like, sometimes, again, if you're like Rafa Benitez used to always set up away game, European, knowing that we'll come back to Anfield, just try to get a draw. If you can nick a point, get it set up defensively, be solid, and then try to win it back at Anfield. Klopp was more aggressive. He's go out and be aggressive, press high, win. Like that's, you knew what you were going to get. You'd see what the game plan was going to be. I don't know what the game plan is. And I think that's the difficult thing is I don't know if he knows or if the players aren't, like, is he not giving them the right game plan? Is he not making the right adjustments? Or the players not executing? Now, it's likely a mix of both of those.
Sure.
But without knowing the behind the scenes, it's difficult to make that.
It's hard to know. And again, as, I'm still figuring all of this out, but watching the Galatasaray game, I felt like in the beginning of it, we looked very aggressive. That we were in their end, or whatever the right thing is to say. But
Yep.
we were pressing. We seemed like we were really aggressive. And then as soon as we gave up that goal, then it was just like we were
I think
out there.
I think we
I don't
were
know.
pressing high, but I think it was more Galatasaray was just playing really poorly.
Okay.
So that goalkeeper gave up several poor balls that we should have punished them for.
Yes.
We didn't. Once they scored their goal, they could sit back.
Yeah.
So they were fine letting us have the ball after that. Because one of the big things that we've struggled is we just, if we have a low block, we're not doing much against it. I think they are very good at going down and letting the ref play into their hands a little bit, slowing down momentum a lot of the times. Anytime we try to build momentum, so we just never had control of the game, and then we had so a lot of poor mistakes on top of it, but. I think that happens when the pressure builds against you and you don't take your chances. But again, I don't know what the game plan was. I think we did press a little. You say better, but I just think Galatasaray made more poorly. Yeah.
Kyle, what are your thoughts on Slot?
No comment. Just kidding. I think Phil captured a lot of my thoughts. I mean, he articulated, I think, a lot of how I feel about things. I'd say a couple other things, though. There's been a lot made about, for example, some of our tactics. Phil alluded to the fact, there's not many players, there's a couple of exceptions like Soboslai, but there's not many players that are playing anywhere close to the level they were last year. So that's number one. Number two, I think it's partly just the way the league's gone. Teams have figured out our style a little bit. We've been very possession-based. I think we've been a little, honestly, passive, slow in games, passing the ball side to side and getting 70% possession, but not a lot of great opportunities. And then there's games where we have dominated. I know people scoff at XG, but let's say we've got 2.5 XG versus a half, and teams have just sunk chances, and we haven't been ruthless enough. So, I think this year was always going to be a transitional year. No one could have foreseen Isak, British record transfer signing, getting a broken leg. there's just some players I think that haven't been performing at their levels previously, and we haven't been good enough is what it comes down to. Now, I think Slot can figure it out. I hope he does. I think the next couple, let's have this conversation in a couple months, and then I think I'll be able to provide a more rounded answer, because if we go on and have success in the Champions League and qualify for next year's Champions League, and who knows, maybe beat City in the quarters and make a run in the FA Cup, I think a lot of fans' perceptions will be different. But in the cold light of day, I think people had really high expectations following how good, we were incredible last year. So it hasn't been good enough this year. I think Slot can figure it out, but it comes down to him actually needing to.
Sure. So. This is, again, being newer, and I know this is their job, right? This is a profession for them. But I have wondered if the loss of Jota has affected anything, and maybe also the mix of the team who lived through that and had a connection with him, but then you have new players who were not. I don't know. I just have wondered if that may as well have just, at the very least in the beginning of the season, been a heavy thing to carry. I'm not sure. So, and again, it's their job. I understand that. But it was a terrible loss. I think anytime a young person, lose a young person, it's difficult. So, but that may be me making excuses.
I don't think at all. Look, I know some pundits, some fans, some Liverpool fans, some fans of other teams kind of scoff at that sometimes, but none of us are in that dressing room, right? And for as professional and as highly compensated as those players are, myself, Phil, Carol, you, Michelle, Chase, if we had a close friend and colleague that passed away in such tragic circumstances, especially by all accounts just a wonderful human being, I think it's really hard to say. And that's, timing just before preseason. Right. They obviously delayed some of the preseason, 20th minute of every game. I love that the fans do remember Jota, but there's just so many different ways. I don't think we could ever say how much of an impact that's had on the players. And I think the maybe not the clean answer, but I think it's a combination of everything. I think that has played a role. We haven't been good enough. We've been unlucky with injuries. It's been a transitional year. The league has shifted a little bit more direct and physical. So I think there's 10 reasons, but I think the Jota one is certainly one from a human level for those players. It must have knocked them psychologically this year.
Definitely. So for us as a podcast gearing toward new fans, bringing new people into the game, what can we do to help you guys bring more people in to your Liverpool supporter club?
I think this podcast will probably help. I think a lot of the times, I know Kyle and I, we talk about this all the time. I just run into people all the time. If I run into someone at the gym, on the street, someone with a Liverpool sticker on their car, I'm like honking at them, and I'm telling them, I'm like, hey, we have a supporters club. Here's the link. Like, come watch games with us. Literally last week, I sold something on Facebook Marketplace. They came to pick it up, saw my Liverpool doormat. We're like up the res. I sent them a link and they're like, I didn't even know that you got that. We had a supporters club here. So I think the biggest thing is just getting it out that there's a place to come watch it with other people. So hopefully this helps.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Anything you'd add to that, Kyle?
Yeah, I'd just say, on this podcast, right, Phil mentioned earlier our Instagram, so OLSC Kansas City is public facing. Our Facebook group is private because that's where we share ticket allocations for games, so we lock that down a little bit more. But truly, if you don't even have to live in Kansas City. If you're around, that's an important distinction. A lot of OLSCs charge a membership. We do not. So everyone is welcome to join us for a game. Reach out to us anytime. We are at Chicken and Pickle for every single game. Okay. So if it is 6:45 against City, in the
You're here.
quarterfinals. If it's 3 p.m. against Galatasaray this week, there is always a Liverpool watch party here. So whether it's 5 people, 50 people, 500 people, there will always be fans here. So follow us on socials,
Okay.
reach out to us directly, and come and join.
Awesome. I will say one of the coolest things that has happened is you all had a former member who was going to be in Springfield and reached out to me and said, hey, they're looking for a place to watch the game. And we told them where we were going to be. They came. They live at Lake of the Ozarks now. Watched a game with us. They're going to come back down and watch. So just a great way to connect. And I think for me, obviously Chase wanted me to start watching to get into the game, but one of the best things that's happened for me individually is just getting to meet new people. And so thank you guys so much for letting us come up and spend some time with you. And we'll definitely come back if you'll have us and continue. And I am so looking forward to getting to watch a game with my people because I usually watch with these two who are, supportive of me, but not diehard Liverpool fans. So thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. And then we're going to visit about World Cup stuff whenever you're ready. So, all right. Thank you guys so much. We'll be back.